Let's come into a seated position. We're going to do some Kundalini yoga tonight, so we're going to tune in. So rub your hands together, place your thumbs up against your chest, into your heart, close your eyes. So this mantra is Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. So it's kind of like an A sound, Ong, and then you should chant along, Namo Gurudev Namo. So inhale, Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. Inhale. Look up at the point between the brow, pull the Mula Bandha, exhale. Ad Gude Name, Chugat Gude Name, Sat Gude Name, Siddhi Gurudev Name. Ad Gude Name, Chugat Gude Name, Sat Gude Name, Siddhi Gurudev Name. Ad Gude Name, Chugat Gude Name, Sat Gude Name, Siddhi Gurudev Name. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, let's come up into a standing position. Let's come into mountain pose. We're going to ground ourselves, come into Tadasana. So feet together. Evenly distribute the weight in your feet. Rock forward and back, left and right. Make sure your knees are over your ankles, hips are over your knees. Slightly tuck your tailbone in. Roll your shoulders back and down. Slightly tuck your chin in. You're going to feel like there's a string being pulled at the top of your head, so stand up really tall. And then start to take those yogic breaths. So inhale, push your belly out. Exhale, push your belly in. So that chant, the Ong Namo Gurudev Namo, that tunes us in with ourself, our higher self, the higher power, and also the golden chain of teachers. So any teachers that have come before us, we tune into them so that way they can help us out with our practice. And it also helps you tune into creativity as well. So we're in mountain pose, we're grounding ourselves, we're centering ourselves. So we have two mantras that we've been working with for a while now. So that one, the Adi mantra, the Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. And then we also have the Sa Ta Na Ma. So I feel like those are our two mantras for us, for our group, for our satsang. So if you ever feel like using them, do throughout the day, whatever, if you feel like you need to focus, you can use the mantra, or if you want to raise your energy, you can just chant the mantra. If you're bored, you can chant the mantra. It's good for you. Okay, let's do some forward folds. So inhale, reach up really tall, stay on your heels, just reach up, stretch your spine, and then exhale, come forward, bending at the hips. Just take a couple deep breaths here. And then slowly roll to the top. Your head's going to come up last. Come back to Tadasana. Stand up really tall. Okay, let's do some neck rolls. So bring your chin to your chest. And then we'll do 3 to the left. Just take your time. sure you're breathing. And then when you're finished, do 3 to the right, so chin to chest. Just breathe into your neck. And then come back to Tadasana, mountain pose, ground yourself. Bring your focus into your body. If anything feels tight, just relax. Make sure your hands are equal by your sides. Make sure you're standing up really tall. Okay, let's come into Warrior One. So we're gonna do right foot forward, left foot comes back. So our left foot is at an angle and our heel is lined up with the middle of the left foot. Make sure your knees over your ankles, square your hips to the front of the room, and then inhale, come into your lunge, bring your arms up, exhale. Let's take some deep breaths here. So I've been listening to Ram Dass a lot. He's a spiritual teacher and he teaches a lot about yoga, and so we're tuning into him tonight. He's one of our golden chain of teachers for the night, and the meditation that we were doing last week, the last 2 weeks, we're going to do again, and he's the one that I learned that from. And it is an interesting meditation. Okay, let's switch sides. Bring the left foot forward. Shake that out if you need to. Okay, left foot comes forward, right foot comes back. So make sure your heel is lined up with the middle of your right foot. Square your hips to the front of the room. Bring your arms up. So come into your lunge. So we're doing this meditation where you are transcending the experience and the experiencer. So when we meditate and we watch our thoughts, we are having the experience. But then the person that's watching the thoughts, that's the experiencer. So you have the experience and the experiencer. And what we're doing, you shouldn't say try, but what we're trying to do is to transcend the experience and the experiencer. It's a dissolution of the self, which is not easy, and it's very hard to intellectualize with your brain because it's not happening on the intellectual level. So we're going to do it again. This will be the 3rd time, and these meditations you don't just do once, you work with them over time. So we're going to do it again. So bring your arms down, bring your right foot forward, so shake that out. Okay, and then let's come into Prasarita. So bring your feet wider than hip width apart, and then bring your arms to the back, clasp your hands behind you, and then inhale, come into a little back bend, and then exhale, come forward, bending at the hips, and let the arms fall forward, let the head fall forward. So take some deep breaths here. So in Buddhism, there's dualism and non-dualism. So there's 2, dualism, because one is looking at itself. Just imagine the number 1, and if it looks at itself, well, that equals 2. 1 and 1 is 2. And then there's non-dualism, where it's literally a dissolution, dissolvement of both of those things into one. That's all I can say, how to describe it. So that's what this meditation is doing. We're transcending the experience and the experiencer, and we're knowing that there is a deeper self that is connected with everything else because we are one, and that's the goal of yoga, is union with the divine. So these are all concepts that we've been talking about for years and weeks, and so now it's time to really just go for it. We're just going out there. We're just seeing how far we can go. So take some deep breaths. And then bring your hands to your low back, and then leading with your chest, come up. And let's come back to Tadasana. Stand up really tall. Okay, let's come into triangle pose. So right foot comes out, left foot comes back, and then our heels are lined up this time, and our left foot is straight. Bring your arms to a T. We're gonna inhale, come over to the right, exhale, come down. So you can stay here, or you can come to your ankle, or you come to the mat. Just make sure your arms are stacked on top of each other. Take some deep breaths here. And we want to transcend the experience of dualism, transcend dualism of the experience and the experiencer. Why we want to do this is because that's what nirvana is, that's what enlightenment is, that's what liberation is, that's what becoming free is. It's realizing that there is no separation between us and everything else. We are everything else, we're a part of everything else, we're all connected. So we are working on self-realization, enlightenment. I'll let you know when I'm enlightened. And then bring the left arm down, bend the right knee, and then come forward, shake that out. And then bring the left foot forward, and then bring the right foot back, and our heels are gonna line up again. Right foot is straight, and then arms come to a T. We're gonna inhale, exhale, come to the left, and then come down. So take some deep breaths here. And if any of this stuff is confusing or it doesn't make sense, that's the point, because it's really hard to understand this with the intellectual mind. It just doesn't make any sense. It's really hard to comprehend. So I can't even comprehend it. It makes sense intellectually, like I get it, but I don't feel it. I don't like get it. And that's okay, because people spend lifetimes trying to become enlightened. So yeah, I'm laughing because I'll let you know when I become enlightened. But the meditation is worth doing, and it's definitely worth trying. And then bring the right arm down, bend that left knee, come forward, shake that out if you need to. Okay, let's come into another half forward fold, Uttanasana. So inhale, reach up really tall, exhale, come forward, bending at the hips. So take some deep breaths here. And then slowly come to the top. Your head's going to come up last. And then let's come into chair pose. So feet hip width apart. And then we're going to inhale, bring our arms up. Exhale, sit as low as you can. Take some deep breaths here. And then let's release that. Inhale, reach up really tall, come up onto your toes, come down to your heels, come forward, grab the elbows, come into ragdoll. So take some deep breaths here. So keep breathing. So this type of meditation, it's a self-realization meditation, and it's called self-realization because you realize that God is inside of you, and that could be, I guess, kind of like having like a mystical experience. And different churches, they don't recognize that. For example, Catholicism, you're not allowed to have mystical experiences because the saints and the sages are the only ones who are allowed to have mystical experiences, because they want you to go to church, because if you have these mystical experiences by yourself, then what do you need them for? So these meditations and these different kriyas that we're doing, it's creating self-realization. You are a God. There's a God inside of you. You're more than your thoughts. You're more than your body. You're more than the things that you're thinking, your actions, everything. There's more to that. And so that's also, I didn't even realize that's what we were doing. So it was really cool. I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because that's what Yogananda teaches. Paramahansa Yogananda is self-realization. So I just thought it was so cool. Okay, so let's slowly roll to the top. Your head comes up last. And then feet together, come into mountain pose, Tadasana. And then let's come into warrior two. So bring your right foot forward. Your left foot is out at an angle, so our heels are lined up. Make sure your knees over your ankle. Bring your arms to a T. And we're gonna look out past our fingertips here. We're going to activate this by pressing down on the outside edges of the feet. You'll feel a wrapping sensation towards the back of the legs. Then bring the arms down, bring the left foot forward, shake that out if you need to. Let's do that on the other side. So left foot comes forward, right foot comes out. Our right foot is at an angle. Our heel is lined up with the middle of the right foot. Make sure your knee stays over your ankle. Bring your arms to a T, come into your lunge. Looking out at the left fingertips here, just past the left fingertips. If you haven't already deepened your breath, start to deepen your breath here. Press down on the outside edges of the feet to activate this. You'll feel that wrapping sensation to the back of the legs. Really take some deep breaths. Bring the arms down, bring that right foot forward, shake that out if you need to. Okay, let's come into another half forward fold, Uttanasana. So inhale, reach up really tall, come down to your heels, come forward. Let's take some deep breaths here. So over time, we've opened our chakras, we've opened our nadis, our energy channels. We're raising our energy from the base of the spine to the top of the head. So the crown chakra has been opened for sure. The third eye has been opened for sure. We've been working on all the chakras. Now it's time to transcend all of it. Because it's all happening and it's all not happening all at the same time. So you can shake your head yes and no, just shake your head out. If none of this is making sense, just shake your head out. Just what the heck is going on? And slowly roll to the head, your head to the top. Your head's going to come up last. So if you missed last week, it's just a meditation where we go through the body and you say, I am not the body, I'm not the organs, I am not the thoughts. And so if you're not any of those things, what are you? There's something else going on here. Okay, so we're going to do the rhythmic kick. So we're going to be breathing and we're going to be kicking, and it's going to be for 3 minutes, and we're going to be chanting hud, 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 hud. So you can start slow and then you can speed it up if you want to. Just go at your own pace. Let's come into child's pose. Let's take some deep breaths here. Okay, let's come into a seated position. Actually, let's bring our feet out in front of us. Come into Paschimottanasana. Inhale. Reach up really tall, flex the feet, exhale. Okay, let's come into a twist. So bring the right foot over the left knee. Sit up really tall, bring your elbow to your knee. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. Look as far to the right as you can to deepen the twist with your eyes. Come back to center, release that. Bring the right foot over the left. Bring your elbow to your knee, sit up really tall. Inhale. Twist to the left. Come back to center, release that. Let's come into a seated position. We're going to do ego eradicator. So we're doing breath of fire, even inhale and exhale through the nose. Fingers up on the pads of the palms. Arms are out 60 degrees. Go ahead and start. Eyes closed down. Inhale. Hold the breath, touch the thumbs together. Pull the Mula Bandha, look up at that third eye, reach the elbows, stretch, 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 hold the breath. And exhale. Touch your mat. Take some deep breaths here. Okay, let's come into child's pose. It's coming onto all fours. And then just take some deep breaths here. We're going to listen to Ram Dass. Again, talking about transcending dualism. So just take some deep breaths and listen.
How do you get free? Well, you may go to church on Sunday morning, or you may meditate on Tuesday nights, but ultimately, I'll tell you what you do. You ultimately use every single experience of your day as a vehicle for awakening. And you begin to understand your life, that you have taken birth in order to go through a series of experiences until you transcend the dualism of experiencer and experience, and you have become so that you are the mountain.
Okay, let's come onto all fours, and then let's come into threading the needle. Bring the left arm through. Take some deep breaths here. So what he's talking about is doing yoga off the mat, because you can use every part of your day as a way to commune with the divine, transcend the experience and the experiencer. So you don't have to do it on the mat. We're going to tonight, but you literally transcend those experiences. So that way you realize the divine oneness inherent in all beings. So not just yourself, not like, oh, I'm communing with the divine. You're becoming one with all other beings, because we are one. That's the goal of yoga, is union with the divine, to dissolve and become one. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Okay, let's switch sides. Bring the right arm through. And then come onto all fours. Let's come into pigeon pose. Actually, let's come into downward dog first. So feet hip width apart. Take some deep breaths here. So when we start doing these type of practices, we might notice synchronicities in our life. So I looked up that meditation, found out that it's a type of yoga. It's called jhana yoga. And I'm like, okay, cool, I need to put this in my yoga notebook. And I mean, I learned it from Ram Dass, but it was just so weird because I randomly opened a page in his book last night, and there it was, the meditation. And I found that meditation on one of his talks. And then he also mentioned that it's jhana yoga, and I was like, Ram Dass, you're blowing my mind, like... So sometimes you start noticing synchronicities when you start doing practices like this, and I was like, okay, I definitely need to keep doing this meditation. This is a sign, because how weird is that? I learned about jhana yoga on the internet, just looking up this meditation that I'm about to teach, and then I randomly flipped to a page in his book last night, Ram Dass, and there was the meditation and him talking about jhana yoga, and I was like, so cool. So pedal your feet left and right, and then let's come into all fours and bring the right knee across and come into pigeon. So what we're practicing is hatha yoga, and there's different like values and principles and different things that go along with it, and then the postures and everything. And so jhana yoga is like the yoga of wisdom, and it's a lot harder because you're doing this like really, like, it's called these meta meditations where you're not your body or your mind, you're one with everything, and it's really hard to figure that out with your mind because it doesn't happen in your mind. So that's all jhana yoga is. It's just a type of yoga. And then there's also bhakti yoga, which is like devotional yoga, and then there's karma yoga, which is the yoga of action, which you can, like, for example, karma yoga, you can say like, okay, I'm going to go to work today, and every part of my job I'm going to devote towards God, to getting me closer to God. And karma is action, so every action that you're taking is just a way to get closer to God. So there's karma yoga. So what we're practicing is hatha yoga, and it's just as good, and so that's all that is, just a type of yoga. Well, we do Kundalini yoga too, so many different ways. And then let's release that, come onto all fours. Let's come into downward dog again one more time. Pedal the feet left and right. And then you can come into pigeon pose from downward dog, or you can come onto all fours, whatever is more comfortable for you. Take some deep breaths here. And we wouldn't be able to do this meditation if we weren't trained in our one pointed focus, which we use the breath to create focus on just one thing. So we've been doing that for such a long time that we're able to do this meditation because it's pretty out there. And like Ram Dass was saying, you use every part of your day to get free. That can be considered karma yoga because most people have to go to work. We're householders, so as a householder, you're just using every part of your day as your yoga practice to get closer to God, to realize that you're God, to dissolve and become one with everything else. Which I feel like we call flow state. That's what I feel like is the closest thing, because in flow state, people lose sense of time and they just get into whatever they're into. They get like just really into it and nothing else matters, nothing else exists. They just like dissolved into that, whatever they're doing. So that's not a yogic term, but I feel like flow state is the closest thing to be able to describe becoming one with everything. So like athletes will get into flow states when they like get in the zone, or then they're really focused and then nothing else seems to exist except for what they're doing. Is one example. But anybody can get into flow state. Okay, let's release that. Let's come onto all fours. And then let's come into our cat-cow. So inhale up, exhale chin to chest. Keep going. Inhale up, exhale down.
Such happy, such nanakosi bisa.
Let's do one more. Inhale up. Exhale, really round through the back. And then push back into child's pose. Hands are in prayer pose. Okay, then let's come into a seated position. And then let's come into our back. So we're going to do this meditation in Shavasana, so don't fall asleep. Come into our backs. Let our feet fall to each side. Palms face up. And then go ahead and take 3 yogic breaths on your own. Okay, this meditation is by Ramana Maharshi. Vichara Atman is what it's called. Okay, so you're gonna put the I, you, yourself, I, and put it in the middle of your head. And if you need to put your fingers on your temples for a second, just to focus on like the middle of your head. So go ahead and do that, and then put yourself in the middle of your head. And then once you've got that, just drop your arms back down into Shavasana. Now say to yourself, I am not this body. So you're experiencing the form as an object and the I as a subject. So your body is an object, you're not attached to it, and the I, you're the subject, you're experiencing it. Okay, so we're keeping I, big I, in the middle of your head. Okay, now you're going to say this, I am not the 5 organs of motion. I am not the 5 organs of motion. So now focus on your arms and say, I am not the arms. And then now experience your arm and see it as an object. So you see it doing its thing, see how the wrist works and the fingers. And you look, wow, Look at that exquisite mechanism. It can do fantastic things. So you're looking at your arm as an object, and you are in the center of your head. Now, I am not the legs. So look at your legs as an object, see all the wonderful things that they do. They walk around, your knee bends in this miraculous way. It's able to hold all of the weight in your body without breaking. It has the ability to bend, has this mechanical mechanism to it, but it's organs and muscles and connective tissue. So you're in the middle of your head and you're seeing your legs as an object. I am not the legs. I am not the tongue. And now see the tongue, it's in your mouth, all the things that it does, choose your food, chant your mantras. So you're in the center of your head. I am not the tongue. Focusing on the tongue as an object. Now, I am not the sphincter. So you feel your sphincter tightening and loosening, and you see it as an object. It's doing its thing. And the big I, you, is still in the middle of your head. I am not my genitals. Now you experience your genitals as an object and experiencing it from the I in the middle of your head, and you see it as an object. Now you say, I'm not my 5 organs of sense. I'm not my 5 organs of sense. Now you listen to your ears hearing. So you note your ears hearing. You're not identifying with your ears hearing, you just note them like we do in meditation. So if you hear a sound, note it and say hearing. So you're experiencing your hearing as an object. You are in the center of your head. Now the same thing for your eyes. I am not my eyes. Now note your eyes seeing. Now note your nose smelling. I am not my nose. So note that your nose is smelling. It's an object. It has the ability to smell things. I am not my tongue tasting. So note your tongue tasting. You are focused on being in the center of your head. Your tongue is just an object that has the ability to taste things. Now note your skin feeling. You can focus on how your skin feels up against your mat. So it's an object, you're not experiencing it, you're noting it. You're not identifying with it, you're just acknowledging it. You are the subject, your skin is the object. I am not any of those. They're just doing their thing in nature. And that isn't who I am either. I'm right back here. I know where I am. And now you say, I'm not the 5 internal organs. I am not the 5 internal organs. I am not digestion. And now experience your stomach digesting. you're in the middle of your head and you're seeing your stomach is able to digest. I am not excretion. And now you experience your intestines. Your intestines are in like below your stomach. So you're in the middle of your head. Now you're experiencing your intestines excreting. I am not respiration, breathing. So this one's easy for us. We see breathing as an object. Focus on that all the time. So you are in the center of your head. I am not respiration, and see breathing as an object. I am not circulation, blood. So now you focus on your circulation. So just take a second and focus on your fingertips. You can feel the pulsing, tingling sensation as the blood runs through your fingertips. So focus on being on the center of your head and just seeing that as an object. I am not circulation. I am not perspiration, sweat. So see your body having the ability to sweat. So keep focusing. You are in the center of your head. Keep that focus. Okay, we're down to the last one. So you're down to the place where you've gotten rid of everything else, and all there is fantastic. And so all there is that I in the middle of your head. And then you say, I am not the thought of I. So say to yourself, I am not the thought of I. I am not this thought. Which thought am I? I am not the thought. I am not the thought. Oh, you're not that? So as your thoughts come in, note them. You're not that. If you're thinking, I don't know what we're doing, you're not that thought. If you're thinking, what am I going to do after this? You're not that thought. If you're thinking about something that happened earlier today, you're not that thought. So make those notes in your mind. I am not this thought. And as a thought comes up, tell yourself, I am not this thought. So now you've got the leverage on the system. Every thought you think, you're not that either. Every place you try to stand, you can't stand there either. You put yourself out on the farthest branch and you just cut off the branch. And you see your thoughts going by like news flashes. I am not this thought. I am not this thought. As your thoughts arise, say to yourself, I am not this thought. So Ram Dass says that's the way you should be seeing this whole scene that's going on now, just as stuff happening. You don't have to collect it. It's just stuff happening. And that's what takes you through the doorway. That takes you from dualism to non-dualism. Because at that point, you give up the experiencer. You give up the knower who knows. See, God doesn't sit around saying, hey man, I'm God. He just is God. He just is a consciousness. He just is manifesting. And gently start to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing some life back into your limbs. Then bring your arm up over your head and roll over onto your side. Come up into a seated position, and then eyes closed, bring your hands to your heart. And we'll chant Satnam 3 times to end class. So inhale. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Sat